Forget New Year, New You. This season is about slowing down, locking the doors, and cozying up at home with the one you really want to do nothing with. Your dog. After the holiday chaos, those quiet nights with a blanket, a podcast, and your pup feel like the reset you actually need. Ollie helps make those moments easier with fresh protein-packed meals made from real human-grade ingredients, so your dog can enjoy some quality comfort food too. Choose from 5 recipes and get a personalized plan for your dog's needs. Meals arrive perfectly proportioned with a scoop and storage container, so serving is fast and mess-free. And with Ollie's in-app on-demand health screenings, supporting your dog is easy, ensuring more cuddles for many years to come. Visit ollie.com/truecrime and use code TRUECRIME for 60% off your first box.
In August 2022, Kevin Eastman went to trial for the murders of Scott Sessions and Heather Frank. Prosecutors told the jury that Kevin was a jealous ex-boyfriend who murdered Scott after finding out that he had been dating Heather, and then who murdered Heather about a week later. Kevin's defense, however, claimed that Heather murdered Scott herself, and that Kevin arrived at Heather's house to find a grisly scene on the night of February 8th, 2020. As for Heather's death, they claimed someone else was responsible, someone the police had clearly overlooked. This is Jillian, and in partnership with Law and Crime, you are listening to Court Junkie, episode 213, part 2. Your style is constantly evolving. It's time for your glasses to start keeping up. Keur eyewear makes switching out your frames easier than ever. You just snap on a new design to transform your look whenever the mood strikes. Here's how it works. First, you choose your base frame, which starts out at just $60. And this includes prescription lenses. You can use their virtual try-on and choose from all sorts of options, from the square to the cat eye, from classic black to remixed blue tortoise. Then you choose your top frames, which snap on top of the base frame so you can constantly change your look. And they have hundreds of top frame designs to choose from. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I love my Keur glasses. I use the Larkin base frame in the tortoise color. And then for the top frames, I have the burgundy, which are bright red frames, and a blush color. Then I have 3 sunglass options that I can snap on: the black sun top, the gold reflective, and a tortoise sunglass shade. I use all of them. Because of Keur, I started wearing my glasses a lot more than I used to, and it's really nice to give my eyes a break from contacts. And not only does Keur have great glasses, but Keur Eyewear is a great company too. They design all their looks in-house, so you get a high-quality eyewear at a fraction of the price. And for every pair purchased, Keur provides glasses to a child in need. Get glasses as ever-changing as you are with Keur. Go to paireyewear.com/court for 15% off your first purchase. That's 15% off at paireyewear.com/court. I don't know about you, but I never get tired of a good whodunit. If that sounds like you too, then I think you will love June's Journey. In the game, you're the character June Parker, an amateur detective on a quest to solve the murder of her sister and uncover her family's many secrets. It's a ton of fun. You'll need to look for hidden objects before the timer runs out and play a variety of game modes and puzzles. Whether you love a good mystery or you're looking for a distraction from your everyday life, June's Journey is perfect. There are new chapters every week, so there's always a new case waiting to be cracked. And there are a bunch of unique features in this game to keep you entertained. You can chat and play with or against other players by joining a detective club. Or you can use the memoir feature, where you can piece together June's past to unlock exclusive awards like island beautifications. I love playing June's Journey because it kind of relaxes me. My favorite time to play is right before bed, so I can unwind from all the craziness of my day. Find your inner detective. Download June's Journey today. Available on Android and iOS mobile devices, as well as on PC through Facebook Games. Numerous investigators came to the stand to testify about the investigations into Scott Sessions' death, as well as the death of Heather Frank. Tyler Thomas, a deputy with the Larimer County Sheriff's Office, was the deputy who placed the GPS trackers on Kevin's and Heather's vehicles after Scott's body was found. He also checked the surveillance video at the King Soopers Market, where Scott's car was eventually found in the parking lot. He said it showed a figure who was male-appearing get out of the car and leave it there. On cross, he testified that he saw no blood transfer, or anything else to indicate that the vehicle had anything to do with Scott's death. He also told the jury he couldn't make out any physical features of the person from the surveillance video, including hair or hairstyle. He agreed he couldn't be sure it was a man.
You testified on direct examination that the individual depicted in the surveillance video was, quote, male appearing, correct?
Correct.
But that on the video, you can't, as we talked about, discern hairstyle.
You cannot discern individual hairstyle. If it was a female with hair length, yes, you could. But if it was generally similar in appearance, probably not. No, ma'am. And
this was in the winter?
Yes, ma'am.
It's cold and snowy?
Yes, ma'am.
The person appeared to be wearing some sort of, winter jacket?
Yes, ma'am.
And you'd agree you can't assume someone is male based on the fact that they're wearing a particular type of clothing?
I agree.
He was asked if Heather was a suspect in Scott's murder at the time he placed a tracking device on her car. He said it was his understanding that she was a person of interest.
You wrote a report in this case?
I did.
And in your report, with a date of February 13th of 2020, you wrote about a tracker device, and I quote, for a possible suspect identified as Heather Frank's vehicle, correct?
If that's what it says, yes, ma'am.
On the evening of February 15th, as police were investigating Scott's death, Sergeant Donnie Robbins watched from outside Heather's apartment as Kevin and Heather got into Kevin's car and drove to a property he later learned belonged to Troy Bonnell. He testified that the vehicle didn't make any stops on the way and appeared to take the most direct route. He went to the property himself a little later and didn't see anyone there, although he noticed lights were on in the attached garage. It was dark at this point. He believed it was between 7 and 8 at night. He testified that he then went home and went to bed. The following morning, around 8:30, he went back to the property. It was then he saw a smoke plume.
And when you observed that smoke plume, did you observe anything else?
I did.
What did you see?
I drove southbound on County Road 45 and I observed who identified as Mr. Eastman standing around a burn pit with a shovel in his hand, tending what appeared to be a fire.
Where did you observe this from?
From Weld County Road 45 initially. I was able to pull over to the side of the road on for lack of a better word, it's an oil storage facility. And I pulled into that and was able to view it with binoculars more closely.
Using these binoculars, what exactly did you see Mr. Eastman doing?
I saw him with the shovel in his hand and he was raking in the area of the fire pit.
Okay. Did you see anybody else?
I did not.
Anywhere on the property at that time?
I did not.
He said he left the area and went to a location near the South Platte River, where the tracking device had noted Kevin's vehicle had gone and stopped the night before. He did a cursory search and didn't see anything. He was still concerned about the burn pit, so he returned there. It was about 8:45 in the morning. When he saw Kevin leave, he followed him to the gas station. Kevin was filling up a gas can with gas, and Sergeant Robbins took him into custody. On cross, he agreed with Kevin's attorney that Heather was a suspect in Scott's death. He said there was an active arrest warrant for her for first-degree murder. He was asked again about what he saw when he went to Troy Bonnell's property on the night of February 15th. He repeated that he did not see Kevin's Subaru there at the time, and he agreed that he later learned Kevin's car wouldn't have fit inside the garage. He was asked if they searched all the places Kevin's car had gone and that nothing was found. He agreed.
Now, you testified that you saw Mr. Eastman tending the burn pit on the morning of February 16th, 2020.
Correct.
And your attention was drawn to the burn pit area due to a plume of smoke.
That's correct.
However, the fire was not so large that you could see any flames from that vantage point.
Couldn't see flames. I could see smoke.
So just smoke. And we first observed Mr. Eastman while you were driving by Mr. Bunnell's property.
That's correct.
And then you stopped your vehicle.
Correct.
West of Mr. Bunnell's property.
Correct.
And you watched Mr. Eastman from about 200 to 300 yards away.
Estimate, yes, correct.
And you had an unobstructed view of Mr. Eastman from that distance.
I did.
And during that time you were watching him, he didn't walk any significant distance.
He did not.
He was standing near that burn pit area.
He was.
And you didn't see him carrying any large objects.
I did not.
You didn't observe him carrying anything that could have possibly been Miss Frank's body.
I did not.
And you were subsequently learned that Miss Frank's body was wrapped in clear plastic.
Yes.
And you did not observe Mr. Eastman carrying any items wrapped in clear plastic.
I did not.
And you never saw Mr. Eastman moving any large pieces of wood around the area.
I did not.
And just to be clear, you were observing Mr. Eastman as through a combination of, the naked eye and binoculars.
Yes.
The prosecutor then questioned Sergeant Robbins on redirect.
Lieutenant, when you saw Heather Frank get in the Subaru at approximately 5:19 p.m. and drive away from, and Kevin Eastman drive away from her apartment on the evening of the 15th, did you ever see Heather Frank again?
I did. I saw her body later on.
Did you ever see her alive?
I did not.
When you went out to Troy Bunnell's property and tried to see what you could see that night, you said you saw a light on in the garage. Did you see Heather Frank at that time?
I did not.
When you went back out there the next morning between 8 and 9, did you see Heather Frank anywhere near Kevin Eastman as he's tending to the burn pit?
I did not.
When you saw Kevin Eastman driving away from Troy Bunnell's house, did you see Heather Frank?
I did not.
And Heather Frank was not with him at the gas station in the Subaru, correct?
She was not.
Ray Johnson was an evidence technician who was involved in the search at Troy Bunnell's property. He testified that a box of rifle ammunition was found in the kitchen. No ammo was missing. He said he also collected a rifle from a bedroom closet, as well as a crossbow and bolts in a dresser. Deputy Johnson was also the officer who discovered Heather's body on the property. He said she was wrapped in plastic and baling wire. On cross, Kevin's attorney asked him about a footwear impression near the porta potty where Heather's body was found. He said a cast impression wasn't done on it. It got overlooked, he said. He agreed no signs of a struggle and no weapons were found in the garage. He was asked if .22 caliber ammo with 44 live rounds out of 50 was found in the garage. He said yes. Multiple other firearms were found in the bedroom. He testified that black worker boots were found in both bedrooms in the house and were photographed.
And when you were searching Mr. Bunnell's residence, you observed numerous vials of substances, correct?
Yes.
And needles?
Yes.
And the vials and needles were located in multiple rooms in the residence?
Yes.
Including in the kitchen fridge?
Yes.
In the door of the fridge?
Yes.
And on a shelf?
Yes.
And you photographed those?
Yes.
And you collected those as well?
Yes.
And collected that as evidence number W20-1218, correct?
I don't know what the number was.
But you did collect those items?
Yes.
Kevin's attorney asked if they had tested all the pipes they found for residue, and he said no. Sergeant Jamie Smith with the Larimer County Sheriff's Office responded to the area where Scott's body was found. He testified that he observed and photographed tire marks near the body, as well as shoe prints.
Did you observe some tire impressions in the snow in that area?
Yeah, I saw indents in the fresh snow where it appeared the vehicle had pulled up on the fire route and then backed into this area that was between the Fire Route Road and Pingree Park Road. And there was one set of tracks backing to that area.
And were there footwear impressions in the snow that had also been covered by fresh snow?
Yes, appeared to be footwear impressions in the snow on both sides of the vehicle. So whether they got in and out of the vehicle, the front doors, I'm not sure, but there were footwear impressions leading up and down both sides of where the vehicle would have been parked.
And that's the same vehicle from which you saw the tire impressions?
Yes.
There were 3 different sets of shoe prints. One had a waffle pattern, one had a pattern similar to construction boots, and the other had a wave design. He also went to Troy Bonnell's property during the search. He was tasked with collecting evidence from the burn pile. As for what he collected, he said, Troy Bonnell's mail, household trash, clothing, baling wire, plastic wrap, glasses, key and a key fob, and large recoil springs that could be from a firearm. On cross, Sergeant Smith was asked again about the footwear impressions found at the scene of Scott's body. Kevin's attorney brought up emails he had sent to another detective a couple weeks later.
And in those emails, you let Detective Porter know that you found 3 different sets of footwear impressions.
Yes.
So meaning, again, 3 different sets of shoes that created those footwear impressions.
Correct.
And so you sent Detective Porter that email because you recognize the potential evidentiary value of that information.
Yes.
And it was important to you as one of the lead officers on the Larimer County side of things to communicate this information with Weld County.
Yes.
Because as we just saw, this means there could have been potentially a 3rd individual at the Pingree Park scene.
There's a possibility.
Kevin's attorney then asked about the boots he noted in Troy's bedroom.
Now, on February 17th, you went to the Troy Bonnell residence located off of Weld County Road 45 near Kersey, right?
Correct.
And you helped Weld County Sheriff Deputy, or I think former Weld County Sheriff Deputy now, Vessel, search Mr. Bonnell's bedroom?
Yes.
And that was the master bedroom.
Correct.
And in doing so, you located multiple pair of boots.
Yes.
And again, based off the information or the evidence we just saw, what boots you were finding was an important thing to document as you were conducting the search warrant.
Yes, I want to document as much as I can.
And so you took great efforts and care to document via photograph all of the many boots that you found in Mr. Bonnell's bedroom.
Yes.
And at one point, you, in addition to photographing those, you located a pair of Doc Marten black boots.
Yes.
And the boots were size 13.
I'm sorry, I don't recall the size.
Okay. Do you recall telling Deputy Vessels that it was similar to a boot print found at the Pingree Park scene where Mr. Sessions' body was located in Larimer County?
I'd have to look at it again, but I do know that there were some Vibram soles that were similar to what was seen up on scene.
He also agreed that in the burn pile, there was only mail addressed to Troy, not to anyone else. Dr. James Wilkerson IV, the medical examiner who performed the autopsies on both Heather and Scott, testified that drugs were found in Heather's system.
She had a relatively high alcohol. It was 243 or 248. And she also had a small amount of methamphetamine on board, a level of 35.
He said Heather's blood alcohol level was almost 3 times the legal limit. She had 2 gunshot wounds to the chest. The state of her body was gruesome.
So when Heather Frank came to your office from when the coroners went out to get her, this is how she came to your office. Is that right?
That's correct. This is the body bag, and she was wrapped in plastic, and that was tied with baling wire.
For Scott's autopsy, Scott did not test positive for alcohol, but did test positive for a couple other drugs.
There was no alcohol, but he did have codeine, which is an opiate in a small level, and also morphine, which is opiate in a small level, and products associated with marijuana use.
In your opinion, based on the totality of your autopsy, which we're going to review, did any of those substances present in his system cause or contribute to his death?
No.
Heather Frank's son testified about the abuse he said his mom suffered at the hands of Kevin Eastman, including the time he saw her with a slash in her throat. He said he didn't believe his mom had ever reported that to the police.
When you saw that on your mother, how did you know that it was the defendant who had done that to her?
At first, she told me it was from a bar fight. And about a week and a half later, when Kevin started his work week hitch in the oil fields, is when I came over and she had told me that it was him that had done that, actually.
He spoke of another incident just a year later in 2015 that took place in front of him when he was living with the couple as a 20-year-old.
So on that day, they had returned home from a camping trip early. I was in my room on my computer. I overheard them yelling. They proceeded from the living room yelling into their bedroom, and it kind of calmed down. They were still yelling for about 5 more minutes. My mother stepped out and went into my room and was telling him to please leave. You're drunk. And she tried to shut the door on him, and he forced himself in and basically put her in a chokehold.
This was the incident that was reported to the Greeley police. He said this was just 2 of many violent incidents that occurred between Heather and Kevin. Heather told her son that Kevin would not leave her alone. He said he warned his mom several times that he feared for her safety. But despite these pleas and the domestic violence, he said his mom just wouldn't stay away. Officer Stephen Vaughn with the Greeley Police Department took the stand to testify about an incident he witnessed between Kevin and Heather. But before Officer Vaughn and the next few witnesses would testify, the judge read the jury some instructions.
The evidence you are about to hear may be considered by you for the limited purpose of establishing Mr. Eastman's motive, intent, culpable mental state, his attitude towards, and the lack of caring for the physical well-being of Heather Frank and her romantic partners and friends, and to explain the dynamics of their relationship at the time of the death in this case. You may not consider it for any other purpose. You are about to hear testimony that has been admitted for this limited purpose. You are instructed that this evidence may never be used by you as evidence that Mr. Eastman has a tendency to commit bad acts. Claims of other crimes, wrongs, or other acts are not admissible to prove the character of a defendant in order to show that he acted in conformity with such other bad acts. Your decision in this case are limited to whether or not the prosecution has overcome the presumption of innocence to prove the crimes charged beyond a reasonable doubt. You may not base any verdicts in this case on your assessment of the defendant's character or propensity.
On May 1st, 2015, Officer Vaughn was dispatched to a home in reference to an assault that occurred. He testified that Kevin Eastman, Heather Frank, and her son were there. He spoke with Heather and he said she was upset and crying. She was hesitant to answer his questions.
When you spoke with her, did you notice anything unusual about her neck?
I did.
Tell the jury what you noticed.
There was a large scar on the front of her neck, the throat area.
He said he felt 2 large lumps on Heather's son's scalp. He spoke to Kevin and Kevin told him things had gotten heated. He asked Kevin if things had gotten physical, and Kevin told him he wasn't going to deny that. Kevin also told him that anything Heather told him was correct, but that he didn't believe that Heather would ever cooperate with the police. The judge again read the same instructions to the jury before introducing the next witness, Anthony Velarde. Anthony had known Heather for a couple years. Back in 2019, he said she told him that Kevin was abusive and that she was trying to get away from him, but didn't know how.
At that time, she was kind of in fear for her safety because he was very volatile in their relationship.
Did she actually contact you to pick her up?
Yes.
Tell the jury about that.
So she contacted me one day because she couldn't drive because she had an interlock on her car. She'd been drinking. Somehow they got in an argument or whatever. She asked if I could come to Greeley, to her apartment, to pick her up. I said, sure. Bring her back to Loveland, to family there. I said, okay. I went and picked her up. I was texting her, I'm here. No response. I'm like, here, are you coming out or what are we doing? No response. So I just left. Not more than maybe half hour to an hour later, I get a text from Mr. Eastman.
And when you say you got a text, did you get a text or was it through
Facebook?
Through Facebook Messenger?
Yes.
And that Facebook Messenger account, what was that account under?
I think it was under Quintana.
Okay. And when you got that Facebook Messenger from him, first of all, was it one or more messages?
It was several messages.
And can you tell the jury what those messages said?
The messages pretty much said that he was married to Mrs. Frank, to leave her alone, or he was going to, can I say it?
Yes.
He was going to fucking kill me. He was going to stab me in the face, in the neck. He was a roughneck. He worked in the oil field, blah, blah, blah. And I was texting him back and forth, and I was like, whatever, you guys have your own issues. But that's when I blocked him because I didn't know what the next step would be. And that was it.
The judge's instructions were again read to the jury before Angela Lesperance took the stand. Angela was another friend of Heather's, as well as her hairstylist. In September 2019, Heather came in to get her hair done.
Did you notice anything unusual about her hair?
Yes.
What did you see?
She had a bald spot about the diameter of a golf ball on the top of her head, where she said Kevin had yanked her hair out, pulled her by her hair.
Okay. And when you were working on her hair, did that bald spot appear to be tender still at that point?
Yes.
How do you know that?
Because whenever I was combing her hair to do her color, she was like, it's really tender right there. Be careful.
All right. Did you notice anything else on her neck or head or?
Yes, she had marks on her neck and a bruise on her arm. I want to say it was probably her right arm.
She said Heather was definitely withdrawn at this appointment, and Angela offered her a place to stay. Heather told her she would reach out if she needed to. On November 2nd, Heather came in again. She was a bit better, and her bald spot was growing hair. She last saw Heather at her hair appointment on December 20th. She asked Heather how things were going, and Heather said she and Kevin were better off as friends. She said he was still around her, though, and would bother her. Allison Nolby worked with Heather at Doug's Day Diner.
Did you know of her relationship with Kevin Eastman?
I did, yes.
Did you talk to her about her relationship with Kevin Eastman in the weeks leading up to her death in February of 2020?
Yes.
What did she tell you about the status of that relationship at that time?
They were not together.
Okay. And you recall approximately when she told you that?
It was around the holidays. So late December, early January.
And did she tell you anything more or other than simply they weren't together?
She expressed to me that he was moving.
She was asked if Heather had ever told her that Kevin was physical with her. She said yes. Heather said she was scared to leave him and that he would try to stop her. She said he always wanted to know where she was going and that he would screen her phone calls. Allison cited multiple times where Heather would come into work with bruises on her arms. Jean McAllister is an expert in interpersonal violence with her own counseling company. She spoke about the escalation of violence within domestic violence relationships and also about the stages. She said at some point, known as the reconciliation or honeymoon phase, the violence may stop.
So people begin to feel like they're with the person they fell in love with or married. Part of the problem is offenders often see the responsibility for the violence as being blamed on the victim. Victims who want things to stay better will often accept that responsibility. And then you have a repetition of the cycle of violence as tension will start building again. The problem with victims feeling like they may have had something to do with the violence is it keeps them attached to the relationship and trying to change their behavior to fix it when they're not the cause of the problem.
She said it's common to see substance abuse, too, in these types of relationships. She was asked how someone who is used to being abused may respond to trauma.
You have used, in describing your work, the word trauma or traumatic event a number of times. How does exposure to repeated traumatic incidents over time impact a victim's response to subsequent traumatic events?
Typically, over time, you will see victims utilize coping behaviors that are survival-based in that circumstance. And those survival behaviors make it less likely that they will be able to effectively get away. One of those is the sort of basic survival-based behavior we have during traumatic events when somebody's harming someone. And most of us have heard of two of the common responses, fight or flight. There are actually three common responses in human beings to all trauma: fight, flight, and freeze, or a sense of immobility.
I'm sorry, what's the objection?
Your Honor, what we discussed via Bluetooth.
Overruled.
People tend to engage in responses where they describe having either no ability or limited ability to act on their own behalf. It's called tonic immobility in the trauma literature.
Overruled.
And it literally means they stop feeling like they have a capacity to resist or fight back or try to get away. So they're more likely to kind of shut down and not respond during a traumatic event. After trauma, we also see, during and then after, we also see a greater likelihood of a psychological coping behavior that's called dissociation.
Objection, Your Honor.
Overruled.
And that simply means that people are either unable to fully incorporate or can tolerate fully incorporating the full experience of the traumatic event. It's very similar to what you see in shock and a physical injury, where when you get seriously injured, your body goes into shock.
Objection, Your Honor. This is medical testimony.
Overruled.
Your body temperature drops, your blood flow slows. And what that does is protect you from dying from the nature of the injury. Dissociation is very similar, but it protects you from absorbing the full negative impact of the horror of what's happening to you. And it literally protects you from going crazy.
Court Junkie is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Let's face it, sometimes multitasking can be overwhelming. Like when your favorite podcast is playing and the person next to you is talking and your car fan is blasting, all while you're trying to find the perfect parking spot. But then again, sometimes multitasking can be easy, like quoting with Progressive Insurance. They do the hard work of comparing rates, so you can find a great rate that works for you, even if it's not with them. Give their nifty comparison tool a try, and you might just find that getting the rate and coverage you deserve is easy. All you need to do is visit Progressive's website to get a quote with all the coverages you want, like comprehensive and collision coverage or personal injury protection. Then you'll see Progressive's direct rate, and their tool will provide options from other companies, all lined up and ready to compare, so it's simple to choose the rate and coverages you like. Press play on comparing auto rates. Quote at Progressive.com to join the over 27 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
He gave me a book on art forgery. I found myself drawn to these old masters. How did these artists take paint from a palette, arrange it on a canvas? I began to unlock the secrets. I was a storehouse of knowledge of how to create an illusion, present it to an experienced expert, manipulate his mind, and convince him and bring him to the inevitable conclusion that the painting is genuine. We flooded the market with my paintings, and I couldn't believe what I did. I couldn't believe it. Then the dominoes started falling, and eventually the FBI were led to my door. They uncovered a mountain of evidence against me.
But they never actually got you. At this point, you've sold a lot. You've got like $1 million in cash. You sold one painting for $717,000. Why did it go away? Why did you never get indicted? And how are we having this conversation?
I guess that's the greatest story of all.
To hear how Ken Perenni made millions in art forgery, dodged the mafia and the FBI, subscribe to the Jordan Harbinger Show and check out episode 282 in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening now.
Troy Bonnell is the owner of the property where Heather Frank's body was found. Before his testimony, the judge advised the jury that Troy has a pending criminal case, that he's represented by an attorney who is present in the courtroom, that he has the right to invoke the Fifth Amendment, and that the prosecution has granted him use immunity of his testimony. The charges he was currently facing have to do with weapons found on his property during investigators' search, and the fact that he's a felon who is not supposed to be in possession of them. Troy testified that in February 2020, only he was living at the 13-acre property. He said he met Kevin in around 2015. The following year, he hired him as a diesel mechanic, and Kevin worked for him for about 4 months. He said he met Heather Frank through Kevin. He testified that Kevin had called him sometime in January 2020 and asked him for more work. He was expecting him to arrive on February 4th, 2020, but Kevin didn't show, something that frustrated Troy. He had tried reaching Kevin to see where he was, but was unable to get a hold of him. He finally heard from Kevin about a week later. Kevin called him and said that he was stuck in a snowstorm in the mountains and that he would be in Greeley the following day. He couldn't recall the dates in which Kevin finally showed up, but he agreed that Kevin came over at one point and they drove together to do a delivery. He recalled that Kevin mentioned something about Valentine's Day and wanting to take Heather to dinner. He couldn't recall telling detectives that Kevin had said that he wanted to propose to her. He said Kevin mentioned needing to go see a psychiatrist and that he would be ready for regular work the following day. He said Kevin came over again on February 15th. Remember, this is the night prosecutors believe Heather Frank may have been killed. She was last seen leaving her apartment with Kevin this day. They were then tracked right to Troy Bonnell's property. It was early evening, and Troy's girlfriend Jennifer, who also did the billing for his company, was over. Troy said he saw Kevin pull up and he went outside to meet him.
I met him at the front of the garage.
Who did you meet?
Kevin Eastman.
The front of the detached garage that's next to the house?
Yes. That would be the south big roll-up side.
And what was he driving?
I believe it was a Subaru Outback, maybe, or out. It was a Subaru.
What happened when you met? Well, let me ask you this. Did you meet him at the car or did he get out and meet you somewhere in between?
He got out of the car and walked up to me and hugged me.
It had been a couple of days since you'd seen each other?
I'm sure you can respond to that verbally.
Yes. Is that a yes?
Yes. He, yeah. And he asked if there was any place where he could unload his tools that he had in his car.
What did you tell him?
I said, sure. On the east side of the garage, to pull around back. and then he could unload all of his tools.
He said Kevin got in his car and pulled around to the east side of the garage. He told Kevin to come inside when he was done. He was asked if he ever looked inside Kevin's car, and he said no. He also said he did not see Heather that night. He said he then went back into the house while Kevin remained there. He said later he saw a mountain of tools that Kevin had unloaded. When Kevin came into the house when he was done, Troy said he introduced him to Jennifer. After that, he said Kevin left the house. He couldn't recall what time. He hasn't seen him since.
When Kevin came inside the house, did Heather Frank come with him?
No.
Did Kevin say anything about Heather Frank while he was in the house or while the two of you talked either outside or in the garage that night?
I don't believe so.
He was asked if Jennifer spent the night that night, and he said yes. They were intimate, and then she left around 3:30 or 4 in the morning, although he couldn't recall the exact time. He told the jury he last saw Heather in 2016. The prosecutor displayed photos of the garage, and Troy pointed out all the tools and clothing items Kevin had left there.
What did you do after Jennifer Edmonds left in the early morning hours of the 16th?
I believe I went to sleep.
Because you'd been up all night, right?
Yeah.
He was asked if he could see the burn pit from where his bedroom was, and he said no. The following day, Troy said he was awoken by the police, who wanted to do a search of his property. They had warrants for both Kevin and Heather. They pulled him out of the house and took him out to the patio. He consented to the search. They then put him in a patrol car and asked if he would go to the sheriff's office with them. He agreed.
When did you first learn of Heather Frank's deceased body being found on your property?
It would have been hours after I was at the police station.
Did you have any involvement in Heather Frank's death?
No.
Did you have any involvement in wrapping up her body in plastic and baling wire?
No.
Did you have any involvement in moving her deceased body at any point?
No.
He was asked about guns he had in his house and garage.
Do you recall telling Detective Shaw and later Detective Geyer on that same day that you had a .22 pistol revolver in your detached garage?
I believe it's when I thought it was when I came back. It was like 3 days that I wasn't allowed back, and I remember going inside the house. I went into the garage, and then I noticed that the pistol that I had kept on top of the black tool chest was missing.
Let's talk about that pistol. Did you have a gun on February 16th in the detached garage?
Yes.
And where was it?
It was on top of my roll top.
Describe what it looked like.
It was a 6-shooter. I believe it was an antique. All three firearms were antiques. They were my father's.
He said he last recalled using that gun a couple days prior to seeing Kevin. When he got back to his house after meeting with the police, he said the gun wasn't there. He said Kevin wouldn't have had any reason to burn anything in the burn pit on his property. The prosecutor asked about something suspicious that was found on Heather Frank's body.
Mr. Brunell, if your DNA was found on a cigarette pack that was located on Heather Frank's deceased person, do you know how that DNA would have been placed on that cigarette pack?
I don't.
The prosecutor then asked about any involvement in Scott's death.
Mr. Brunell, did you ever drive, well, to your knowledge, did you leave your house on February 9th of 2020?
I don't recall.
Did you drive up the Keur Canyon on Sunday, February 9th of 2020?
No.
Do you know where Pingree Park is?
No.
prior to being interviewed at the police department on February 16th of 2020, had you ever heard the name of Scott Sessions?
No.
Under cross, Kevin's attorney, Samantha Devereaux, questioned some of the inconsistencies in what Troy had told the detectives when he was interviewed and what he was testifying to now. One of the inconsistencies revolved around when Kevin worked for him. On direct, he had said Kevin worked for him in 2016, but in his interview she played for the jury, he had said just a year prior, in 2019.
And again, this interview that we're watching was in February 2020.
Yeah, I was definitely wrong on that one.
Because a year beforehand would have been 2019.
Correct.
Not 2016.
Correct.
And you told this jury this morning that Mr. Eastman only worked for you for about 4 months. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And again, this was also yet another question that Detective Shaw asked you on February 16th, 2020.
Yes.
And again, you knew the importance of being truthful with Detective Shaw.
Yes.
Being accurate.
Yes.
And telling him exact dates when you knew him.
Yes.
And again, you knew that they were investigating a homicide.
Yes.
And again, you just told this jury that this morning that Mr. Eastman only worked for you for 4 months, correct?
To the date, I don't have the exact dates. I thought it was less than, I don't know. I thought it was 4 months, 4 or 5.
Okay.
Give or take.
She played another clip from the interview where he said Kevin worked for him for maybe about 4 days out of a month and that it didn't work out. He was also asked in the interview on February 16th when the last time he saw Kevin was, and he had said approximately a week ago, not the prior night. Troy had also told detectives and the jury that he was asleep when police arrived to his home on the morning of February 16th. But Devereaux pointed out that Troy had called Kevin a little before 8:30 a.m. on an app called Signal. Devereaux also brought up the pack of cigarettes found on Heather's body with DNA on it that matched Troy. Troy said, as he had to police, that he doesn't know how it got there.
You were asked to explain this over and over again during that meeting with Detective Geyer and Detective Porter on December 29th, 2020.
I was asked to do what?
Explain how that could be, how your DNA could be on Miss Frank's DNA.
I had no explanation.
Right.
Other than...
No, I'm asking the questions, okay? You could never provide Detective Porter or Detective Geyer on that date an explanation.
No.
And they told you that this was a problem.
Okay. Yes.
They told you it was likely a problem that needed to be fixed because someone could use it to paint you as a suspect.
I don't recall that conversation.
Okay.
On December 17th, 2021, in preparation for trial, Troy had met with the district attorneys. Devereaux pointed out more inconsistencies.
And during that same witness prep meeting with these DAs and Detective Porter on December 17th, 2021, they also told you that they had phone records that placed you at Miss Frank's residence.
I don't recall that.
These DAs and Detective Porter gave you the heads up that there was evidence in this case that placed you in the area of Miss Frank's residence, specifically on February 11th, 2021.
I believe that's the day that I went over
Raising
there.
the question.
Looking for Kevin.
Wait. Why don't you re-ask or rephrase the question?
Yes, sir. Thank you. On December 17th, 2021, you learned from these DAs and Detective Porter that there was evidence in this case that placed you in the area of Miss Frank's residence on February 11th, 2020.
I don't recall that.
And again, as we've reviewed, you've had multiple occasions to speak to Jerry Porter about this case.
Correct.
You've had his phone number.
Yes.
You've texted with him.
A couple times, yes.
You've had phone conversations with him.
I believe, yes.
Met with him in person?
Yes.
Had his email address?
Yes.
And before December 17th, 2021, at no point did you tell Detective Porter that you were in the area of Ms. Frank's residence on February 11th, 2020?
I don't recall that. I do remember driving over there.
Devereaux continued to ask him about specific things he told detectives in his interviews, and he answered, "I don't recall," numerous times.
And during the beginning of your interview with Detective Shaw, you were asked how long Mr. Eastman was at your place the night before, meaning on February 15th, 2020.
Sure, yes.
And you first told Detective Shaw that Mr. Eastman was at your residence for 15 minutes.
I don't recall that.
Okay. And then you told Detective Shaw that you maybe 20 minutes?
Sure. I mean, I don't want to.
If you don't remember,
I just don't remember. Like, if you're going to hold me to a few minutes, I just don't remember.
Yeah, just tell us if you don't remember.
I don't remember.
Okay, next question.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you changed that to say maybe 30 minutes.
Sure.
Sir, do you not recall again?
For the sake of.
Wait. Do you recall or not?
I mean, I don't recall.
Okay.
Yeah.
She then played the clip.
You also told Detective Geyer that you and Miss Edmonds spent some time in your bedroom before falling asleep at 3 a.m.
Again, I don't know that it was exactly 3 a.m.
Okay. And again, you were in your bedroom past 11 p.m., so you wouldn't be able to see a vehicle coming onto your property past 11 p.m.
More than likely, no.
So at 9:42 p.m., you would have been able to see Mr. Eastman come onto your property.
Are you insinuating I was looking out the window, or?
Again, your previous testimony was just that you could not see anyone coming into your property from your bedroom,
Mm-hmm.
and that you were in your bedroom starting around 11 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as you testified earlier, you would be able to see anyone coming onto your property from your living room or your kitchen.
I mean, I would see lights like flickering off the windows. Mm-hmm. Yes, that doesn't.
So if you were in your bedroom starting at 11 p.m., you would have been able to see Mr. Eastman coming onto your property at 9:42 p.m.
I don't recall having an event of seeing him at 9:46 p.m.
Do you recall telling Detective Geyer on February 16th, 2020, that you would have seen Mr. Eastman coming onto the property at 9:42 p.m.?
I don't recall.
She played another clip.
You testified earlier this morning that you last saw Miss Frank in 2016.
I did what?
You told this jury that you last saw Miss Frank in 2016. This morning.
Yes.
Okay. And you were asked that same question by Detective Shaw on February 16th, 2020. Well, when the last time you saw Miss Frank was.
Yes.
And on that day, you told Detective Shaw that you last saw Miss Frank 8 months beforehand.
Before Kevin?
Before being present and interviewing with Detective Shaw on February 16th, 2020.
I don't think so. I mean, I doubt that. I hadn't seen him and her in years.
Okay, so it's your testimony this afternoon that you did not tell Detective Shaw that you last saw Miss Frank 8 months before your interview on February 16th, 2020.
I don't recall that.
She played the clip. On redirect, Troy was asked how good of friends he was with Kevin in February 2020. He said he felt like they were friends.
Was it such a good friendship that if Kevin Eastman had asked you to help him cover up a murder by driving dead body up the Poudre Canyon that you would have done it for him?
No way.
Objection, outside the scope of cross-examination.
Overruled.
Were you such good friends with Kevin Eastman on February 15th, 2020 and into the 16th that you would have assisted him in trying to cover up a murder and prepare to burn the body on your property?
No.
The prosecutor asked him about all the times he said, "I don't recall," during cross-examination.
Did you document every phone call that you made with Kevin Eastman?
No.
Okay. Did you document exactly when you expected him to be arriving?
No.
Did you document at that time every time that Kevin Eastman arrived at your house?
No, I did not.
Did you document every time you and Kevin Eastman talked in the week leading up to February 16th of 2020?
No.
Jennifer Edmonds, Troy's former girlfriend and employee, took the stand and testified about what she saw the night of February 15th. She said prior to going over to Troy's house, she called him. He told her the guy he had hired, who turned out to be Kevin Eastman, was over there too. He said they were discussing things that needed to be worked on. She picked up energy drinks for the three of them. When she got there, she met Kevin. They exchanged pleasantries and briefly discussed repairs for the job he was going to do for Troy. After that conversation, she went to the bedroom, and that's where she stayed for most of the evening until she left. She said Troy joined her shortly after, probably minutes later.
When you saw Kevin Eastman, did you ever see a female there that night?
No.
She said she and Troy stayed awake, and she left at about 4 or 5 in the morning. It was typical that she would call him on the way home to make sure she made it home okay. She lived about 20 to 30 minutes away. She found out about Troy's property being searched the following day. On cross, she admitted that when police came to talk to her, she didn't volunteer the information that she was at Troy's house the night before. There had been a protection order saying they couldn't be face-to-face, and she knew she had violated it. She was later arrested for it. She was asked if Troy was on edge that night, visibly stressing, and she said she wouldn't say that.
Okay, so your testimony today is that Mr. Bonnell was not stressing that evening.
No, not that I recall.
Okay. So again, we talked about that time that you spoke with Detective Meadows on the phone, correct?
Correct.
When the information and the events were much more fresh in your mind, correct?
Correct.
And at that time, you told Detective Meadows, and I quote, Troy kept freaking stressing about everything and he was kind of restless, correct?
If that's what I said, but that's a regular thing for Troy to do.
Okay.
Is stress about most things. I mean, as I mentioned before, even with the whole task of paperwork, and it seems like everything was always drawn out because it gets there was a ton of things to handle, and instead of just focusing on one task at a time and completing that before you move on to the next seems logical to do in most situations in life. It seemed to be, I would get 10 things thrown at me at once. And yeah, it was a stressful time in general. So I suppose I said that.
Okay. And so it was a stressful time in general for Mr. Bonnell, and we'll get to the reasons why in just a moment. But it was stressful in general, correct?
Correct.
And he was acting stressed that evening.
I suppose so.
Okay. And he did not sleep at all that night.
Correct.
She agreed that after being interviewed by law enforcement in February 2020 about this case, she got a resolution from the DA's office that avoided any jail time, instead getting probation. Deputy Tyler Schall with the Larimer County Sheriff's Office interviewed Troy on February 16, 2020. He was asked to explain Troy's demeanor when he was told there was a body found on his property.
Mr. Bonnell and I had kind of a very calm conversation. It was very conversational in tone. Mr. Bonnell was tired, and his body language throughout the interview was kind of relaxed. He was often...
702.
So the jurors need to understand that he's not an expert in body language. He's simply giving his lay opinion regarding his observations of Mr. Bennell on the evening he's discussing. So I'll overrule the objection.
He was leaning back in his chair and kind of had his arms crossed. When I told him that we found a body on his property, he had an immediate reaction. He sat up, he leaned forward, he raised his voice, and his eyes widened a little bit.
On February 16th, as Troy was talking to detectives, a gunshot residue test was performed on him. Those test results were analyzed, and according to court testimony, they came up negative. As part of the defense's case, Detective Shaw was recalled to the stand. He was asked if when he interviewed Troy, he told him Scott was in a band or was a musician. He said no.
At any point, did you tell Mr. Bonnell that Mr. Sessions was in a band?
No.
So if he had that information and provided it to Detective Geyer, that wouldn't have come from you?
No.
Detective Mark Geyer was also recalled to the stand by the defense. He was asked about when he interviewed Troy about his DNA being found on Heather's body.
And did you tell Mr. Bonnell that was why you and Detective Porter were meeting with him ahead of court?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you ask Mr. Bonnell, quote, help us out?
Yes.
And was Mr. Bonnell on that day ever able to provide you with an explanation as to why his DNA was found on Miss Frank's deceased body?
No, it was not.
And did you provide essentially a host of examples or explanations that could explain it?
Yes, I believe so.
Did any of those, or did Mr. Bonnell accept any of those potential theories or hypotheses?
No, he did not.
Detective Matthew Roston went to all the locations Kevin Eastman's vehicle had stopped at when it had the tracking device on it. He said he found nothing of evidentiary value, that he only found a glasses case. No blood, weapons, shell casings, nothing of note.
So when you searched this area, did you locate any items that belonged to Mr. Sessions?
Not that I know of.
Did you locate any items that belonged to Miss Frank?
Not that I know of.
Did you observe any blood?
No.
Any items with blood?
No.
Did you locate any items besides the glasses case?
No.
And did you observe any footprints or footwear impressions?
Not that I recall.
The lead detective was also recalled by the defense. He was questioned about the items found in the burn pit, including the set of keys.
And do you know if those keys were collected and put into evidence?
They were.
Do you know if those keys were collected and put into evidence timely?
I believe so.
Is it fair to say that chain of custody is an important thing for law enforcement to keep tabs on?
Chain of custody is very important, yes.
So is it fair to say that typically law enforcement doesn't let evidence just languish without being checked into evidence on timely matter?
I would hope not.
Okay. And were those keys collected on February 17th, 2020?
That does sound accurate.
And did you take those keys over to the residence of Mr. Sessions to test them on the locks of the doors to see if they were his on February 17th, 2020?
No, I did not.
Did you do that on February 18th?
No.
Did you do that on February 19th?
No.
Did you do that in 2020 at all?
No, I did not.
Did you do that in 2021 at all?
No.
Instead, did you wait until April 24th, 2022 to go over to Mr. Sessions' residence?
I did go there.
And because you waited over 2 years, did you have any success testing those keys in the locks?
I didn't actually take the physical keys over, but the locks had been changed.
And was that because you waited too long?
There were about 3 months that was the opportunity to test.
So is that a yes?
That's correct.
And did you wait even longer to reach out to the new renter at Miss Frank's residence to test the keys on those locks?
It was within about a week of the previous.
Was that on April 28th, 2022?
Yes.
So did you attempt to make contact with a new renter at Miss Frank's residence on April 28th, 2022?
That sounds right.
And again, did you have any luck testing the keys found in the burn pit on the door of Miss Frank's apartment?
No, I did not test them. I verified that they had been changed.
Were you able to determine if those keys found in the burn pit belonged to Miss Frank?
I had served them previously to her son. He didn't identify them.
Were you able to test the keys on Miss Frank's locks to determine if they were Miss Frank's keys?
I was not able to.
And was that because you waited too long?
Yes.
He was also asked about knives that were recovered from a drawer in Troy's bedroom.
Did you submit any of those 9 knives for DNA testing?
No.
Did you submit any of those 9 knives for fingerprint analysis?
No, I believe they were inspected, but no, I did not send them in.
On cross, the prosecutor asked if there was any indication, according to phone records, that Troy was anywhere near Heather's apartment on February 8th, 2020, and he said no. The defense also called Cynthia Bonnell, Troy's ex-wife, to the stand. They were married from 2014 to 2018 or 19. She said even though they were divorced, they still spoke frequently. She was asked if she saw him on February 14th, 2020, and she said yes. This was 6 days after Scott was killed and the day before Kevin came over to Troy's house. Cynthia said she and Troy went to dinner. Everything was fine until Troy went to the bathroom. She said when he came back, he was frantic and said they had to leave. Their food and drinks had just arrived. She said she wasn't able to finish her meal.
When Mr. Bonnell was wanting to leave, how was he acting?
He was standing up and he was frantic, saying, let's go.
So I'm going to stop you there without saying what he said. Just how was he acting?
He was acting frantic. What's the word? Like a sense of urgency.
Okay. And how would you compare that to Mr. Bonnell's normal behavior?
It was way over the top for him.
Okay.
Way over the top.
She said they drove to a local gas station. Troy said he wanted to get chocolate milk. She stayed in the car, texting on her phone, and he went inside.
When he got back, I wasn't done with my text, and he was yelling at me, like, I used the term like foaming at the mouth, angry with me, that I would not go right then. And I can't say what I said. No. Okay. So he was very upset to the point I was telling him he needed to get out of the car.
And so what was his tone of voice?
Very angry, like loud.
Was he using respectful language generally?
No. Well, generally, yes, but he was cursing and calling me every name in the book.
At one point, as they were driving, she pulled over on the side of the highway and told him to get out. She said he was angry, irritated, and panicked. He didn't get out and promised he would behave. She drove him home.
When I pulled up to the house, it was black, not one light on anywhere. It was...
I'll stop you right there for just a moment. So you said there's not a light on anywhere. Can you describe where you were looking for lights?
Well, it's typical. You can see a house, but it was noticeably that dark that I said something to him. And I was like, why is it so dark? What's going on here?
Okay. And when you dropped him off, did you see any other cars at the property?
No, there was none. It was just mine.
And from what you could tell, was there anyone else at Mr. Bonnell's property?
No, it looked completely blacked out. Okay. Almost like when you don't have electricity, blacked out.
Okay. And overall, how would you characterize Mr. Bonnell's behavior that whole evening of February 14th of 2020?
It was over the top for him, and he was, I would say, more panicky than, like, he just urgent.
The following morning, February 15th, Troy texted her and apologized, saying he had had a stomach ache. She said he had never mentioned that the night before. She recalled detectives showing up at her house the following Monday morning to ask her questions. They didn't tell her what happened, but they told her that Troy was fine. Troy called and she asked him if he was going to tell her why detectives were at her house.
Okay. And how was he acting during that phone call?
He was crying, like, I don't know if the word is crying. It's like, babe, like that.
Okay.
And he he had been in interrogation for hours.
And without getting into what he told you, so you described it a little bit. How would you characterize his tone of voice?
Like an oh my gosh feeling, like oh my goodness.
She was asked if she knew if Troy ever used the Signal app, and she said yes, he had her download it before. He also told her he and Kevin would communicate on it. This was right around the time everything was happening, she said. DA Steve Wren gave the closing arguments for the prosecution, calling the case an example of good police work. He said he believed there was more than enough evidence to convict Kevin of taking 2 lives, calling the defense's arguments vague. Attorney Ashley Morris gave the closing arguments for the defense. She said the cell phone GPS tracking in the case wasn't reliable and that it could only prove where a phone was traveling and not who was in possession of it. She claimed Kevin was innocent and that officers had singled him out as a suspect on a hunch and nothing more. She also accused the department of ignoring signs that pointed to Troy Bonnell as being an alternative suspect in Heather's death. The jury found Kevin guilty on July 20th, 2022. He was found guilty of 2 counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of tampering with a deceased body, and 2 counts of tampering with evidence. Scott's father, bandmates, and friends gave victim impact statements at his sentencing. Heather's son also spoke. Kevin was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. And that's all for this episode. As always, I'd love to know what you think about this case. Let us know by joining the conversation on Instagram at CourtJunkie, on Twitter at CourtJunkiePod, or by emailing me at podcast@CourtJunkie.com. This episode was researched and written by Law and Crime staff with additions by me. If you'd like to hear these episodes without the ads or hear additional Court Junkie bonus episodes, check out my Patreon options at CourtJunkie.com/support. And one final thing. I made this announcement on social media, but figured I would tell you all here too. A couple episodes ago, I alluded to delaying the launch of our new podcast, Civil, to something unexpected that happened in my life. And that something is that after a really long time of going through IVF treatments, I am finally pregnant with my second child. I am so incredibly grateful and excited, but this first trimester has been really rough so far, and I have been pretty darn sick. I'm hopeful that that's going to change soon and that I can devote more time again to this podcast and to finally getting Civil out. I'm so sorry for the delays, but that's what's been going on. Thanks to everyone for your lovely messages and for everyone who has messaged me about also going through IVF. I just want to say it's a long, tough road, but I see you and you got this. Okay, enough personal stuff. Thanks again for listening. Until next time.